Hi, welcome back to my channel. So, we need to talk about Air Force One because this movie slaps. It definitely holds up. I don't normally do movie reviews. This is really a book-centric channel, but I just rewatched Air Force One last night and I had to talk about it. I have to talk about it. For those of you who don't know, Air Force One is a 1997 political thriller action film starring Harrison Ford as the President of the United States. So the movie starts off with this general guy being captured by US and Russian forces. Harrison Ford, President of the US. We'll just call him President Ford from now on. So President Ford is in Russia giving a speech related to this and how he doesn't negotiate with terrorists. Then he gets onto Air Force One, and a group of loyalists to this general dictator guy get on the plane disguised as journalists. This group is Gary Oldman and a bunch of Russian guys. They all look identical. When I say that they look identical, I'll show you pictures of them because I kept thinking, wait a second, didn't that guy die already? No, that's just a different guy who looks identical to the other one. So it's Gary Oldman and his crew, and they get on the plane. They're just disguised as journalists. This lady shows them around the entire plane. I'm not kidding when I say she gives them a full tour and is basically like, and this is where the president goes if something goes wrong. This is where he'll hide if there's terrorists on the plane. So she basically tells them everything they need to know to carry out their operation. So the reason they have their in is because one of the president's Secret Service dudes is actually a turncloak. And you can tell because they zoom in on his face in this really specific way so that before anything goes down, you know this guy is no good. They continue this theme by zooming in ominously on his face a couple more times. Ominous zoom, ominous zoom. So in case you didn't get the memo, in case you're not paying any attention to the plot, at the very least you know that this guy is not good. So these guys get on the plane takes off, everything's going fine, and then really quickly we get into the action. These guys have all these weapons hidden on the plane. They get out and they just start like it is open season on the president, his cabinet. It is crazy. So the Secret Service are dropping like flies. They rush the president to his escape pod. Of course, the terrorists know about the escape pod ahead of time, but the president doesn't actually escape in the escape pod. It's a twist. He does not want to leave because his wife and daughter are still on board the plane, so he makes it look like he's gonna get into the escape pod. The escape pod discharges, so everybody thinks he's in it, and then when they recover it, they realize he's not in it, and we know that he's been hiding on the plane in the bottom area. Cargo hold. That's what it's called. So the president has been hiding in the cargo hold. These terrorist guys come down. He kind of watches them for a while to see what's going on. Then, bam, he makes his move. He kills one of the guys and he manages to get to a satellite phone. And he calls the White House. He calls the White House and he keeps them on the line while the phone is in his pocket and says all these things so they kind of understand what's going on. They understand he's still up there and that he has a gun to his head. But anyway, after he kills the guy down there, they realize that someone's down there, obviously. They don't think it's the president. They think it's a hidden Secret Service agent or some sort of hidden military person. And so they're they understand someone's down there. They just don't know that it's the president. Meanwhile, while this is happening, the main guy, the main terrorist, Gary Oldman, takes his wife and daughter and puts them in a separate area and then calls the vice president. He's like, I've got the first lady and the first daughter and I've got all these hostages, and if you don't help me refuel this plane midair, I'm going to kill a person every 30 minutes. And he is like, I'm not messing around, so he just kills someone from the president's cabinet right away. And he kills this other lady right away. And of course the vice president is like, uh-oh, we don't negotiate with terrorists. But they're killing people. So the president comes up with this whole idea. He manages to get to where the hostages are. He kills a bunch of the other terrorists. He gets to where the hostages are and he's like, yeah, no, let the refueling people come because they have all these parachutes. So he's like, when the refueling people come, tell them to go down to 1,500 feet. Yeah, 1,500 feet. Tell them to go down to 1,500 feet so that they can get the people out on the parachutes because they need to go a little bit lower. So they do that, but not everybody gets to get off in time. So they were gonna get all the people off, and then I think they were just gonna like blow the plane up. I don't really know. They figure out what's going on, and the fueling thing catches fire because Gary Oldman is like, no, they're trying to escape. We need to get this away. So there are like a couple people still left on the plane. There's William H. Macy, there's the turncloak guy, there's like a couple terrorists still. Definitely Gary Oldman is still there, and then the first lady and the first daughter and the president. So Gary Oldman and the president are now together and they're having a little chit chat. And they're just chatting about, you know, the fall of the Soviet Union. Gary Oldman's super mad about it. Then he's like, you need to call up the Russian president and have him release my guy from prison. Like, get my dictator general out of prison. And, you know, even though he gave that whole big speech where he was like, we don't negotiate with terrorists, it turns out when his wife and daughter have guns to their heads, he will negotiate with terrorists. Is it good? Is it bad? I don't know. I think maybe it makes him a good husband and father and like a bad president. I don't really know. I don't know. But anyway, I kind of can't fault him. I would do something similar, I'm sure. They call up the Russian president, or does the vice president do that? Anyway, somebody calls up the Russian president and they're like, release my homie out of prison. And so they do. And then they also come up with this whole plan to get everybody off the plane. So he goes along with these requests, and then it just buys him enough time that they like manage to get out. One of the Secret Service guys like takes a bullet for the president, and his wife breaks free, and they like try to go escape, but Gary Oldman is like throwing the rest of the parachutes off of the plane, so they don't have any parachutes left except for him. Obviously he kept a parachute for himself, and he's about to like dip out of the plane. Oh, and then there's like this whole big struggle between the president and Gary Oldman, and he like strangles him, which is not fun, but the turncloak guy is still there. Oh, and so, like, the president rushes back and is all like, no, 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 like, they basically go back on their deal. They're like, oh, we're releasing him from prison, and then they shoot him, like, the second he gets out of prison. They sort of negotiated, but also they were like, nah, no, 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 just kidding. And then they're trying to get off the plane, and they decide to have this, like, another plane come to rescue them from the plane because the plane is so badly damaged from, like, the missiles and all the firing and stuff that basically they can't land the plane. So they have to go to the plane and rescue the president and rescue all the other people, like the first lady and the first daughter and William H. Macy and that other guy who got shot. And the turncloak is still there. So they start getting people off the plane. They want to take the president first, but he's like, no, 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 take my daughter first. No, take my wife first. No, like, let the shot guy go first, even though he definitely should be dead. That wound, it doesn't add up. But then he's like, oh, let William H. Macy go first. But then suddenly they're like, no, there's only room for like, there's only enough for one more person. We have to have it be the president. And the turncloak guy is like, nah. And he literally just shoots William H. Macy and is about to shoot the president. But the president's like, no. And he like gets onto the zip line in time, and then it like breaks off of the plane, and the stupid turncloak guy is left in the plane, and the plane crashes, and you're cheering it on, and you're like, ah, the CGI is not that bad for 1997. And then you're like, wait a second, the CGI is pretty bad. But it's a really nice happy ending. It's also pretty topical because they talk about the 25th Amendment, which was fun and fresh and very of the moment, if you will. The movie really just ends with the president and his family flying off safely into the sunset, sunrise, I don't know. They fly safely away, and it's kind of a happy ending. Wow, was that a pretty intense attack. This movie might, it's crazy to think that this movie is 24 years old. I mean, yes, you can kind of see it in some of the graphics and the haircuts and the clothes, but it's crazy to think that this is 24 years old because honestly, it kind of holds up. This was one of those movies we would watch for like movie night, like as a family growing up. I remember it from being such a young kid, and it holds up. Let's talk about Gary Oldman, because Gary Oldman is an absolute chameleon. I completely forgot he was in this because I was so young when I first saw it. And I was like, wow, he really takes on the role, you know? He doesn't mess around. He takes on the role. He's serious slack. He's the guy from Batman. Now he's like a Russian spy. Kazakhstani spy? I don't know. But he really takes on the roles. I was like, okay, we believe you as a bad guy, Gary Oldman. We love it. Also, the girl from A Little Princess. She's in it. She does a great job. William H. Macy. Man, when that stupid turncoat guy shoots William H. Macy, I'm like, come on. He is like the ultimate gentle kind of Midwesterner guy. He's just like, oh no, don't shoot me. Basically, this movie holds up. And I'm gonna be honest, I think that we are all overlooking Air Force One. How cool would it be if Harrison Ford was actually our president? I don't know if I have a lot more to add to this. Honestly, I'm just like, we're all sleeping on Air Force One. Also, why don't they make movies like this anymore? I feel like there was a golden age of these awesome, like, political action thrillery. Ah, man. They just don't make them like this anymore. This is family movie night perfection. The type of movie where we would watch as a family and my mom would just say this the whole time. It's so suspenseful. This is too suspenseful. We have all been sleeping on Air Force One and we owe it an apology because it holds up. Anyway, thank you so much for watching. Please let me know below if you also stan Air Force One, the movie starring Harrison Ford. I will see you later. Luna is a big Harrison Ford fan.